Alvarado. I'm a bounty hunter by trade. I've been introduced by my agency. I'm from Seattle. Tacoma called me and told me that as the waves go through, this is the first wave. The second and third is when they're going to hire us. The ICE is going to hire us bounty hunters, and they're going to be giving $1,500 to $1,000 per legal. How are you going to stop us from coming through? Because we don't have to worry about warrants. We don't really have to follow too many of the laws. And if we're going to be deputized by ICE, we can pretty much do anything we want. They're already going over there and creating the squads as we speak now. That's why they called me. So as soon as I get back with my squad in Tacoma, we will be coming down the state. $1,000 per illegal is a pretty good price just to do things that you kind of enjoy. How or what you guys are going to do to stop that? Are you going to pay us more? Are you going to pay us $2,000 to just leave them alone?
If you're making those kind of comments, you're really creating panic right now.
I'm not creating panic. I'm trying to give you guys informed of what's going on.
You're comparing numbers right now. You shouldn't be doing that.
Well, I'm just stating a fact of what are you guys going to do to stop us from doing our job.
Maybe you shouldn't be doing that job at all.
Why? What part of illegal don't you understand?
Can't put a price on.
You can put a price on every human being. Every human is worth a dollar amount.
It's not right.
Well,
this is freaking huge. Armed citizens stopped 48% of all criminal shooters last year, and the FBI was just caught massively lying about those numbers in their public reports. They recorded, get this, none of them. 0%. Now, you and I and everyone else have seen those local heroes on social media, but rarely do we ever see these stories in mainstream media. Well, the script is about to flip because a new study by the Crime Prevention Research Center reveals that armed civilians stopped over 1/3 of active criminal shooters between 2014 and 2024, nearly 10 times higher than FBI's reported 3.7% average. And again, with even more Americans getting armed post-2020, just last year alone in 2024, civilians stopped half of all criminal shooters. Yet, as I just stated, the FBI recorded 0 of them. You might be asking, how is this possible? Well, while digging for the study, researchers found that police were often falsely credited instead of the armed civilian, which is a recording pattern that clearly increased over the last 10 years. Now, this begs the question, why would they work so hard to hide the significant benefits of an armed public?
More than 90 people discovered inside one home. Some of the people found saying they hadn't eaten in quite a while.
Houston police say a typical 2-story home in the Southwest Houston neighborhood hid a secret until this morning.
When we got into the house, we realized that there were over 90 people inside.
More than 90 people, made up of about 5 women, 85 men, but no children, found huddled in 2 separate areas, some in need of food, water, and medical care. Police say the discovery came hours after a kidnapping tip from a possible relative of one of those rescued. SWAT teams then entered the house after a few hours, staking it out. Some neighbors tell me they saw one woman taken into custody and thought only 2 people lived here.
I've never seen anything out of the ordinary in that house, ever. It's always very clean outside, very well taken care of, so it's surprising.
Homeland Security Investigations, or HIS, confirms it's working with HPD to investigate what it calls a suspected stash house. Right now, there's no information regarding where the men and women originated or what may have been planned for them.
The kids' clients are very rich. They even come in their own private jets and helicopters from fuck who knows where. They are picked up at different locations. Filthy rich. They pay a fortune to spend time with a child. Everything's arranged with the medical team. They know the child will not survive. And if it becomes crippled for life, nobody's going to look after it. So it immediately becomes an organ donor. Those brothels have branches all over the world, with operating rooms. There are high security sites. Few people know about them. There are no regular brothels. We're talking about huge money here, so they are perfectly organized. It's not just some dude or madam sitting there. It's all professionally set up.
Like a corporation?
Yes, like a corporation. As complex as a corporation. There must be a medical team on standby. Someone must look after those kids. Someone must organize. The transplants and everything. There must also be someone that helps them. Search clients for the organs out. It will continue. The demand is huge and it won't change.
Islam, shalom, hola, aloha, bonjour, osio, assalamu alaikum. This your brother, Zach Bay, Indigenous American Moor, coming to you live in full effect. Like, share, subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell down below so you can be notified whenever I'm dropping some new content. Leave a comment, interact with me. Thank you. I really do appreciate the viewership. Let's jump into another one. Alright, so you saw the clips at the beginning. I want to title this one Bounty Hunting on the Rise. Fellas, it might be time to gear up and load up and start, you know what I'm saying, taking these people off the streets, start getting these people up out of here. I'm talking about the bad ones, you know what I'm saying, the ones that need to be gone, you know, the ones who are somehow unnamed, but yet their names are all on this list, right? Come on now. Now, it's kind of like anybody can gear up and load up, learn some, take some training, practice, learn some techniques, and get out there and get after it, you know what I'm saying? Honestly, the Second Amendment still applies, you know, Constitution still applies. Just be careful. It's honest, like honestly, we need to get these kind of people up out of here. Like, they need to be up under the jail or just completely X'd out, you know. Take that any way you want to spin it. I want to start off a little bit on a lighter note, even though this stuff is pretty heavy, but I'm just going to connect a few things. I don't want to make this video too long, but hey, we in there. So, I've spoke on the show The Mandalorian from Disney. It's a Star Wars show, right? Mandalorian, he's a bounty hunter. Now, if you're familiar with the show, or if you're not familiar with the show, I'm going to run it down for you, just the first season. And how this kind of got my eyebrow raised a little bit, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of got my eyebrow a little raised a little bit, you know what I'm talking about? So I'm like, what's really going on here? All right. One of the first missions Mando got in The Mandalorian was to locate a child. Now, we all know about, you know, how these pedos and how there's so many missing children. Especially, you know, recently of late, missing children, especially like over 88 missing children in Virginia, and then this weird ice cream truck after dark phenomenon. Those videos have been going like viral crazy recently. But, you know, Mandalorian, he was looking for a child. All right. And in the midst of looking for this child, he has to fight. He locates the child and he recovers it, and he hands the child over to the people who paid him the bounty. He started getting a bad feeling, like it was going against his code of honor. He realized what was going to happen to the child. They were most likely going to hurt the child, experiment on it, extract the blood. You know, that's odd there. Right, now this is a Disney show. and they're extracting the blood from a child, right? What does that ring of? Adrenochrome? Right? So that's the first mission. He feels bad. He goes back. He rescues the child from the evil empire, right? The people who hired him for the bounty. And then he ends up saving the child. And he has Grugo with him the entire time, right? He makes, like, so I'm just like, this is Disney. And they're talking about, saving children. And we all know what's been going on with Jeffrey Epstein. We all know about, people might know about the old Pinocchio movie, Pleasure Island, and how they say it was pretty much, it was code for Jeffrey Epstein's island. Now, rumors say that there was a Disney cruise, Disney cruise liners that actually stopped at Jeffrey Epstein's island, all right? Back in the day, they would do cruise line tours, and on the water out there in out there toward Florida, apparently they would sail down and go to Jeffrey Epstein's island. That's a rumor. Along with that, there was also rumors of children going missing in Disney's bathrooms. All right, I believe Disney is on the West Coast in California, then it's also on the East Coast in Florida, right? There's been rumors over the years of children just, going missing in their amusement parks, and that there's allegedly underground tunnels and secret passageways and things like that that lead all throughout these Disney theme parks. Very, very weird. Very, very, it pretty much makes you want to take a magnifying glass and look a little closer. You know what I'm saying? So, something else that was weird, there was a lot of missing children in Maui, all right? When the Maui fires was happening out there in Hawaii, excuse me, there were rumors of a lot of children missing, all right? And there was actually reports going out that a lot of children went missing after those fires. I'm not really sure what happened to them. Also, there was a lot of rumors about how when the port strikes were happening, all right, the seaports, shipping containers that were being shipped back and forth from overseas in different areas, import, export, allegedly there have been screams, all right? I spoke about this on some of my other videos, Strange Events. But apparently there were screams being heard inside a lot of these shipping containers, and by people who were working at the docks. And apparently they're under NDAs where they can't really say anything. And of course, they're under policies, restrictions, where they can't simply open and inspect the contents of these shipping containers, fam. Seems very, very odd. Along with that, you realize the show To Catch a Predator, Dateline NBC with Chris Hansen. All right, that show was a very, very popular show. They did a lot of good work there. That show was canceled because someone unalived themselves. All right, apparently it was someone who was connected to the government or in some way, shape, or form. But that show was canceled because they were catching a lot of government officials. They were catching police officers. They were catching military service members. They were catching a lot of these people in the act, in To Catch a Predator. Chris Hansen was doing very, very, very good work back then. Apparently the show was, I spoke about this before, the show was going to be rehashed, and they tried to make another one, but it didn't last that long. But I really think they canceled the show because they were catching like too many of these people who were connected to the government, too many people who might have been connected to senators, congressmen, governors, mayors, you know, in the military. You know, people had connections, people had money and power. It wasn't just, you know, scumbags, you know, someone's scumbag uncle or aunties or, you know, whoever. It was people who were connected and fairly wealthy. All right, I'm gonna show some more videos after this that might be a little more graphic. Hopefully YouTube doesn't take this video, doesn't strike this video or take it down or anything. But I'm gonna play. I'm gonna do a warning, you know, just for anybody, you know, just to give a heads up, just in case anybody doesn't want to see it or there's children around or something like that. Let's see. Along with that, there's new groups, all right? So after Dateline NBC canceled To Catch a Predator, there's been new groups popping up online, like internet sleuths who go into chat rooms, who go onto dating sites and things like that. And they make profiles and accounts and they pose as children and they set these people up, all right? They pretty much do like a bait and switch. They bait these pedos into having these conversations with minors, underage people. They take screenshots and gather all this evidence, and then they set up meetings in public, right? And they try to get law enforcement involved to take these people down. All right, I'm gonna show some examples of this. But they try to get law enforcement involved to take these people down and get rid of these people. It's kind of weird that law enforcement encourages these groups, these activist groups, to not do this, which is kind of weird. They act like it's kind of like an annoyance or it's a burden to them in some way, shape, or form. Sometimes, not all the time, but I would say like 50-50. I'm just like, why half of the time do these people act like they're annoyed that these good Samaritans are out here doing, you know, this good work? I find that very, very odd. There was a case recently, all right? Now, this is fairly new information. It's only like a few weeks old. If that. There was this content creator, and they
Not right now. We'll get to that part, okay? What's your name?
This is Jeff Griswold, the sickest pedo we've ever caught, admitted to molesting his daughter and 3 granddaughters when they were less than a month old. Has child pornography on his phone. Came to meet a pedo mom and her 2 kids, to start a family with them, to get the 11-year-old pregnant, and has gotten a 12-year-old pregnant previously before in New Jersey. This is the worst of the worst, by far. Like, it's just, there's nothing even close that we've caught, and he's in cuffs right now here. This full video. We'll be releasing some clips of this guy.
Here's some facts that will save your life. Most human traffickers are actually women. In most human trafficking, while men are the ones who dominate the leadership networks, it's actually women who are often the ones recruiting and deceiving victims. They often exploit the women trust women mentality to lower defenses. This also goes for children as well. If anything, this goes for everyone as well, including men, because women are more likely to be perceived as trustworthy. They are often more effective at abducting people because their presence feels less threatening. The very scary thing about this is that not many people know this. They assume that the majority of human traffickers are operated by men, but in reality, women actually dominate this. But it's not because these women are predatory. It's also important to note as well that many of these women were once victims themselves, broken and coerced into becoming predators. And because being a woman itself is usually connoted to being nurturing and being motherly, children fall for this trap. That trust becomes a weapon, and the cycle feeds itself, ultimately turning vulnerability into a trap from which few can escape. It should always go without saying as well that many victims of human trafficking, from all forms of human trafficking, only 5% or less ever make it out alive or ever seen again. This is why it is so important that you, number 1, stay with others, avoid being alone or isolated. Number 2, refuse help at all costs. Refuse any rides or favors from strangers. Number 3, you must be very quick to move to safety. Head to a well-lit and populated area if you're ever approached or you feel that something is off. Specifically run towards crowds.
135.
135, the number of people who were seen in DC arraignment court today. That's your initial appearance, the first time you see a judge. And in fact, arraignment court is still happening at approximately 10:26 p.m. They are locking people up for any and everything. 4 people were arrested yesterday for being in a public park. They arrested a barred attorney. We just saw him in arraignment court like 10 minutes ago. And this is what the judge said today, verbatim. I am forbidden from ruling on the 4th Amendment violations. And this is very clearly a 4th Amendment violation. Because I found probable cause, I have to hold you. Now Trump is trying to hold DC for ransom. All of this shit is manufactured when we've had bail reform on the books as law since the 90s. Jeanine Pirro, her office, they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Do you know how many times the judge had to come back and be like, what is this stay away order? What is the government asking for? What is happening? This paperwork is not right. It's new executive order and Trump trying to hold people for ransom. People are like, oh no, cash bail, this and that. Cash bail never went away, baby. But what it can be used for is under very limited circumstances. And according to Section 1321, you can only put a cash bond for risk of flight, not for dangerousness. In DC Code Section 1329, people cannot sit in jail just because they cannot afford their bail. If that's the case, the defense attorney can file a motion and the judge has to lower the bail. I've watched Judge Raymond today all day long reiterate over and over again how she does not have the power to release people even though their 4th Amendment rights have been violated, even though there is no real grounds for them to be held. But because they've asked for what's called a B1A hold, those holds are non-discretionary. That means the judge doesn't get to choose. Effectively shifts the power from judges to the prosecutor's office, because all the prosecutors have to do now is consistently ask for a B1A hold. And all they want people to do is plea out at these preliminary hearings. And if you don't choose to take the plea, they rescind the plea. So just like people are fighting in the streets, I need people to fight in the courts. I need y'all to get court watch trained. I need y'all to be on court support, because the violence that happened with policing, that's only the start. That same type of violence continues when it gets to the courtroom. This is a shit show. If nothing else is a shit show, these courts were a shit show before, but they really a shit show now. Get trained up. Court watch training this Thursday. And tomorrow, we have a special training so you can learn all about the courts, why we court watch, why we do this work.